Hello, welcome back to another little update of the Utah housing market and kind of things, how things have been going. We recently, I've been sick these last couple weeks, so I apologize for not getting this out more regularly. I will definitely try to do that as we coming up these next few months. Be able to make sure you guys get a little more recent update with this. But so sorry for being sick. Let's kind of dive into it. Let me go back to kind of how many homes we have currently on the market. We're at 13,118. Today is Tuesday, the 11th. So we are a little bit into November already. So we're going to look back into October, kind of see what was going with October and see how things have been going. Over the last 30 days, we have a days on market about 45. This is median. We've got about 529 median sold price and about 2,700, not about, but that's kind of what it's how many homes we've sold in the last 30 days. But let's now look at October. Let's look into October and see what happened over this last month. And we did have a very similar, very average. It's not like it's dropped too much. It usually does, come October, November, December, we kind of see a little bit of a decline, but it wasn't too much compared to other Octobers. And I'll show that in a graph in just a minute. The actual median home price has gone up a little bit. We're at 524. So September was a little dip, but came up a little bit here in October. That was very similar, 97% in the last few months. That as far as this is what the percentage. So if a home is listed at, let's just say 1 million, then the home actually sells for 907 or 970,000. It's kind of what it would be like. So if it was 100, then it would be like 97 is what the sell price would be. So just a little bit lower than the actual price that they listed at, but not too much of a drop that's kind of really happened here. Typically, we see a little bit of that happen in the fall, in the winter, fall and winter, just because the homes that have been sitting, people are like, all right, let's move them before the holidays. And so they come down just a little bit there, but really not too much of a difference. I mean, still median prices have gone up on average, but also the home prices are a little higher as well. So kind of take that as you will with that grain of salt on each of these different numbers as you kind of are looking at it. But our price per square foot has been very similar as well, about 233. And this is the whole state of Utah. Every area is a little different. If you get a little bit more rural, there's a little bit less than that price per square foot. Less people kind of want to live there. More around that Salt Lake area, the price per square foot's get a little higher. And then as you get up along the mountainside, places like Alpine or any of the Sandy Draper kind of places up along the mountainside, prices per square foot are going to be a lot higher as we go along. But as we're kind of looking at the whole average of Utah or median of Utah, very similar to what we've seen recently last few months. Okay, so I wanted to dive into this as we do have October. So the purple line is this year. So if you can see to 2025, the purple line is this year. And we did see a very stable as far as how many homes have been entered onto the market. We will see a dip in November and December. So it'll be interesting. That usually typically happens, but we'll see what happens this year with us. We have seen a little bit of a drop in the interest rates. And so there's a potential that some people might put their home on the market hoping that the buyers will be interested, as the buyers might be diving in a little bit more with the interest rates kind of coming down. They came down a little bit and then they came back up. So I'll show that in a minute with the interest rates. But as far as homes on the market is very similar. Last year was the orange. And so we're very similar as to last year from month to month in October, September, October. Let's keep going and look at some others. So active listings. So these are how many homes are active on the market per day. So we had seen a little bit more of a increase over these last few days of active listings. But we've also seen an increase in homes that have gone under contract as well. So this is average number of listings per day per month, and so we're kind of, we've been staying steady. We do have, this last year we've had the most homes on the market that we've seen in a long time, and it's still kind of staying steady. It did go up a little bit, where other years it's gone down in November. So we did see a little bit of increase in homes coming onto the market. But if you look at where we're at, we have seen a dip in how many homes are currently on the market. So I'll show you that in a second, that we've actually had some homes go under contract recently. And I would say that is due to, so here's under contract residential listings per day. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. We have seen a big spike in homes going under contract recently. And we did see interest rates come down. As soon as interest rates come down, all of a sudden buyers are kind of wanting to jump in, be able to want to hopefully lock in that interest rate. It did kind of come back up. So what I'm worried about is I'm worried about a lot of these homes that went under contract. All of a sudden, they didn't lock in that interest rate at that spot. And then all of a sudden, now interest rates have kind of come back up to where they were. Will they stay under contract or will some people start to back out? We do have, I've seen a lot of people back out for the littlest of reasons. And so, like in these days, hopefully, if the home is 90% good, like you should be able to keep going with it. But that interest rate does make a difference for a lot of people. So we have seen a big spike in people going under contract. So that is um, interesting to note for sure. Okay, so this is kind of same thing. Numbers of people going under contract. And granted, we had tons of people going under contract in this was 2021. That green line, but we're in the purple and orange is where we're looking at from this year to last year. So this did go up from the orange from last year. So we did go up in how many homes went under contract recently. And granted, we're at the very beginning of November, so we'll see how that goes and how that continues to see if we do continue to see the growth that's happening as far as people staying under contract. And I assume that we'll see a bigger number of sales in November. We'll see as that really goes along, but compared to other years, this is active no show. So these are active homes, but they've stopped showing. They're kind of putting a pause on things. We've kind of seen the same kind of trend, especially over the weekends or at the end of the month, beginning of the month, kind of a thing. As the trends go on, but there is a little bit more of a separation that's kind of happened right here as well. These kind of went down a little bit, where we're still kind of trending upwards. So we'll see as that kind of continues on over this month. But I do want to, here's the average number of active no show. As that kind of does, usually that does go up a little bit more in November and December. As October, November, we haven't really seen a full thing of November yet, but a lot of people do put things on pause during that December month. And so we'll kind of see what happens as we didn't see a huge, you know, increase like October. You see a little bit more of that increase happening, whereas our interest rates came down. So there's not as much of an increase that usually happens in this time frame. So anyway, it's always kind of interesting to see what the interest rates are doing and how that affects the housing market. So this is total number of sold. So we haven't looked at November yet. That won't get to us until the actual end of the month. But let's look at October. We did see total numbers of sold. So October, we kind of had a little bit of a drop where last year's October did go up. So you can see the orange. The orange did go up a little bit last year, where this year we kind of took a dip. Not necessarily is that a bad or good thing, just probably depending on what the last year it was the elections and interest rates went down kind of at the end of October, but then they kind of came back up during the beginning of November. And so, you kind of probably see that a little bit where people probably went under contract a little bit more in that October timeframe and maybe even closed at the end of October. And that might have bumped things up a little bit. Where we will see over this next month because of the interest rates and how they're kind of adjusting a little bit. I assume that we will be a little bit, instead of being right on the same number as last year's October, I'm thinking in November we're going to be up just a little bit compared to last year's November. So we'll see as that continues to play out and see what we're looking at. These are the back to market listings by month. Now, this is one that I definitely see. Last year's October, they so if anything was like off market, this is now coming back to market. So last year we did see an increase of listings that came back onto the market in that October. And I do feel that was probably because of the interest rates and how they did come down during that October, where our interest rates really it was more November that well, I guess the really end of October. So let's look at these historical kind of interest rates and what they were doing. They were playing around that 6.3 around the 14th, the middle of the month. And then at the end of the month, we did see a dip and really the 28th was that lowest part there. And so we saw that decrease that happened in the 6.17. So a lot of people were able to get interest rates that were lower than this. They're probably more in the 5.75 or something like that is really where their interest rate was able to really sit at. Really, everybody, as you're watching these, remember these are just averages. These are averages. This row that I look at is the 30-year fixed interest rate, and these are national averages, kind of a thing. And so most people, if depending on their credit, they're able to get a little bit of a lower interest rate. But we did see it kind of came back up. So it bumped up a little bit on the 29th, and right at the end of the month, kind of came back up. We're at the more point 0.6, or sorry, 6.3 again, is kind of where we were a couple weeks ago. And so we did come back up to that 6.3. If you were able to lock in at that time, good for you on that. But we'll just keep watching these. Feel free to give me a call, because if I've got a client that is looking on a regular basis, then I'll be able to update them a lot more regularly. This is recording kind of going out to the world, and who knows who's really watching it. But if you are interested and you want to get something more on a regular basis, let me know and I can be able to clue you in really every single day and be able to make sure. And if you are looking for specific homes, be able to help you out in that as well. So this back to market, we will see in November. I assume that there might be a little bit of an increase coming back onto the market just because of where the interest rates were kind of playing. There might have been some homes that kind of came back on, hoping that there might be some buyers popping back in. But more than likely, we'll still see a little bit of a decrease coming in through November and December here. But that's kind of where the interest rates are at currently. Nothing too much to change since my last video. But if you have been watching things, it did kind of have a dip over the last couple weeks and then kind of came back up. So interest rates are still volatile. They're still moving up and down. It's not as daily. Like sometimes, it just was going up and down so drastically. But right now, it's kind of within a week or two that things are kind of moving a little bit. So feel free to reach out at any time. Happy to be able to answer any questions, give you guys any more information that you would like, help you guys in being able to look and purchase, or if you're looking to sell your home, feel free to reach out. Can help you out in any way, shape, or form that you would like, and love to be able to get that going for you. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.